Hey guys, this is Joe from Off Grid. Today I'm going to be going over the TrueClot wound packing trainer. Now just as a disclaimer, I am not an EMT, and when it comes to wound packing, that is a trainable skill. It's something you need to work towards. I think a common misconception about wound packing is also putting as much gauze as you can into the wound, but it's really about applying pressure onto the source of that bleed as well. So just keep that in mind and keep practicing your wound packing and get that training. Now, when it comes to simulations, there is a lot of good gear out there and there's a lot of bad gear out there. So just recognizing what is anatomically correct, what is going to have that shock factor. This stuff, it needs to be gory. I know some people don't like that, but when it comes to a real world situation, you need to be able to handle it. So keep that in mind. Before I get into this wound packing trainer, I'd like to thank Ron from TrueClot. Ron had reached out to us a while back. We set up a meeting, he went over the products with us. We also saw him at an expo, and then last month he reached out again and said, hey, do you want to try out the wound packing trainer? And naturally, because it's a great piece of gear, I said yes. So actually getting into this, I love the fact that it lays flat on the table. This is not going to go anywhere while you're packing. And texture-wise, you can push and pull the flesh around, which I love. It's a little creepy, but it's extremely realistic. So once you do have blood running through here, it's going to be extremely graphic, which you need. While it'll be hard to show, there is actually a bone inside this trainer. This is my favorite part of it. It does create a sense of an obstacle while you are packing, and the artery does run parallel with the bone while you're packing, so you can feel the source of that bleed. Now, moving on to the blood itself, you can get the blood in a 1 gallon formulation, or you can get the liquid with the powder, and they will give you the formula to create that blood, and you can dilute it down depending on how fast you want to clot, and so on and so forth. Now keep in mind, their gauze only works to coagulate with this blood. Just note that these are not for real world use, so don't go throwing them in your kit and using them on a real wound, just a disclaimer. And then moving on to how the blood runs through, this does come with a squeeze bottle. I do recommend having 2 people run this, one to squeeze the bottle and the other to pack. If you do have one person and you want a realistic experience, there is a device called a FEBS. A FEBS artificially simulates that blood through and you can pack. But if you do have one person, it's much cheaper to just let gravity take this and pack it yourself. Cleanup is extremely easy because with this blood, it is going to coagulate in chunks. So you could just scoop it up with some paper towels, throw it in the trash. Compare that to neutral blood that is not going to coagulate. That's a little more messy, but realistically, it's still an easy cleanup. Just run some clear water through this when you're done and let it dry out. Getting into the actual packing of this trainer, I have Pete to my left. He's going to be running the blood through here. We're going to be using the TrueClot blood and their rolled gauze. Now this is their Simulated Hemostatic Gauze, so it's pretty close to what you can expect with QuikClot. When Pete runs the blood through here, you can actually feel the source of the bleeding in here to the left or as your right. And you're just going to swap that pressure and start packing. And as you can already see with some of the blood that's coming out of here, it is already coagulating. So. And what you're going to do is actually swap pressure. This gauze, or blood, I'm sorry, is extremely slippery as well. So you're going to want to fill that cavity as much as you can, but maintain that pressure on the source of the bleeding. So swap the pressure. And Pete, how you doing with the blood over there?
Oh, that's a lot of back pressure right now.
Okay. And the nice part about this trainer is it does lay flat on the table. I do have it on this plastic tray that does slide around underneath it, but for the actual trainer itself, it does not go anywhere. So getting to the end of the roll here, just fill this entire void up. And once you're done packing, you're going to want to put the gauze on top of the wound. That way when they get to the hospital or so, they know what kind of gauze was used on this, whether it's Celox or QuikClot or Cheetah gauze. So Now I'm at the end here. If you did have standard gauze, you're going to maintain 10 minutes of pressure, but because this is simulated quick clot, you're going to maintain 3 minutes of pressure. And as you can see down here, the blood is all coagulated in chunks. So I'm going to pull this out, show you. This was a 12-foot roll. And here is the end here. You can see the clots on the end. And it is extremely easy to clean up too. When you're done with this, you just can take the gauze, wipe it up, it'll clot. Just scoop it up with some paper towels and throw it in the trash. If you do have any questions on the TrueClot wound packing trainer, just shoot an email to our team at Off Grid Warehouse and we'd be happy to help you out.